Hello everybody, how's it going? I'm Alejandro Perez, the CGI Nerd, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at doing some basics in blueprinting for Unreal Engine, and also I'm going to be teaching some other procedural workflows using Houdini inside of the Unreal Engine, so I wanted to take the opportunity and set up some basic tutorials for that. So if you're interested in that, let's get started. Here we're going to right click inside of the content browser. We're going to create a blueprint class. The type of class that we're going to use for right now is an actor. We can rename this already. I'm going to name it var basics. There we go. So if we double click on this, we can go into our blueprinting. Sometimes they'll say up here like a little text box, warning box, something like that, a little dialogue to open up the full blueprint editor, and click the hyperlink on that and it'll take you to this page. But if you are here, we can start taking a look at what we have. Right now we're in the viewport. We're going to switch over to the event graph. So in the event graph we can have in-game type of actions happening with our blueprint coding. I'm going to move this over a little bit. We have the begin play, event actor, begin overlap, and event tick. We don't really need to worry about those too much right now. The stuff that we're going to do, we're going to create it to be executed at the event begin play for this blueprint, so that way we can kind of see it when we run the real-time, not really game, but the real-time, we'll call it game for now. So if we look down here in variables, we can create a variable that we can work with by clicking the plus sign and variable. That's one way we can create them. So let's try that really quick. Going plus, and then we can rename it. So we can just say this is our test var for a test variable, and we can take this and drag it into our scene here if we'd like. Now we have two options. We can get the variable or we can set the variable. Right now we haven't set a value to this variable at all, so we'd probably want to set it first because we've just created a variable. It's a placeholder for information. We haven't set any information to it yet, so we can do that. So we have this set. Also, if we click over here, we can have the information on the details before we go too much further. This gives us information about the variables that we have, this one in particular, the test var that we created. It shows that it's a Boolean and other information, if it's edible in the instance, or only able to be read inside of the blueprints and things like that. This one we'll be looking at a lot. We have these basic types of variables. We have, if you hover over each one of them, they tell you what each one is. So the Boolean is a true or false value. So we get true or false, also could be represented by 0, 1. Byte, so it's 8-bit number. Integer, it's a whole number. Integer 64, so it's a 64-bit integer number, so whole number. Then we have a floating point value, so those are decimal point numbers, so 1.5 or anything that has a decimal in the number. Name, string, and text, they are very similar. For the most part, you can get away with using string for all of them, but these, let's close out of that. I just want to keep the Boolean. They give you more or less functionality and are supposed to be used for specific things, but for the most part you can get away with strings if you wanted to. Vector is 3 values, which is the same thing as a rotator, so think of your translate or rotation values. We have X, Y, and Z in rotate or scale, so that's those. Also, we have a transform, which will give us the translation, rotation, and scale values. So it is a matrix of 9 values. Okay, so we have all of those different variable types. Let's switch this over to string for now. We're going to change the variable type. It goes through the process. There we go. We have now, and we can see that it changed colors. So the variable types you can see are color coded for their specific variable type. It's a good way to get to know what the variable is. Here, because we had it as a set variable, we can go here and type in what the variable name or word is going to be. Let's say we call this hello world. So that's the string that we are assigning to this variable that's called test var. On this variable node here that we're looking at, we have an input executable. So this is where we were talking about earlier, event begin play. So when we run this game, we're going to want to set up this value here. So we've set a variable, and if we were to do this and let's say get value, we can see that it doesn't have anything yet. It's just we would connect it to something if we needed to get a value at a specific time that is equal to that variable. So that's where it's a little bit different than the set, where you can actually write down the value there. Let's set it up so that we can print a statement here. So let's look at, I'm going to right click here in the event graph, and I'm going to type in print. So I have this here, and then execute. This time I'm going to execute it after this is set because I've set the variable there. And then in the string, I can take this value and plug it into the string, so that way when it plays the game, we will see that it will pop up here. I'm going to compile this blueprint. So compiling just builds everything up for us so that it runs. Now let's close out of this blueprint, and we have the blueprint available here. We can drag and drop it into our scene. We can see it adds it to our scene here. So now that we've done that, if we try and play, you can see that it says hello world there in the top corner. It disappears after a moment because it's already set that value. Let's stop this again and play it again so that you can see that one more time. It's kind of covered by that value. I'll try one more time if I click here. Nope. But another thing that we can do is go to Window, Developer Tools, and we have the output log. So if we expand that, we can get what is being outputted here inside of the window, and we can try and play it again, and we can see that we have the log, and it says out hello world. So that is our simple first little blueprint where we're printing hello world for inside of Unreal, inside of the output log for us, and then we can see it here in the viewport when we play it too, that it says hello world. Alright, so that is it for this introductory look at variables. We'll continue working with variables in the next lesson though, so we'll see you there.